Her son-in-law drove to her house to pick up his wife and children. He was shot 7 times when he walked through the door. Now his mother-in-law is on trial. Prosecutors say she planned the whole thing. This is True Crime Today, coming up. A Utah grandmother is on trial for allegedly masterminding her son-in-law's murder. Her daughter already pleaded guilty. We have the latest from inside the courtroom. Plus, Sean Combs faces a skeptical federal appeals panel as he fights to reduce his prison sentence. Harvey Weinstein's third rape trial is underway in New York City, with jury selection entering day 2. And the Tanner Horner sentencing phase is in its second week. A verdict on whether the FedEx driver who killed 7-year-old Athena Strand faces the death penalty could come by the end of this week. Then in tonight's Deep Look, Florida just launched the most ambitious cold case DNA initiative in state history. More than 21,000 unsolved murders.
One forensic lab and a technology that could change everything. I am Morgan Voss. This is True Crime Today.
Today's episode is brought to you by Genetic Genealogy for Law Enforcement, bringing closure to cases across the United States using DNA and forensic genetic genealogy. If your local department is not using it, they should. More information and contact info at www.geneticgenealogyforlawenforcement.com. Now to our lead story. Matthew Restelli drove to his mother-in-law's home in American Fork, Utah on a night in 2022. He believed he was picking up his wife and their 2 children to bring them home. He was shot 7 times after walking through the front door. The shooter was Kevin Ellis, Tracey Grist's son. He has since been convicted of murder. Grist's daughter, Catherine Restelli, pleaded guilty to murder and conspiracy to commit murder. She was sentenced to 1 to 15 years in prison. She is expected to testify against her own mother at this trial. Now Tracey Grist, 60, is standing trial in American Fork. She is charged with murder, criminal conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and domestic violence in the presence of a child. Prosecutors say Grist was the ringleader. They point to digital evidence from her devices.
Her search history includes lookups for the name Donna Adelson and Catherine Megbanua. Both names are linked to a Florida case in which a mother was convicted of conspiring to kill her daughter's boyfriend. Prosecutors say Grist also helped lure Matthew Restelli to the home under false pretenses. After he was shot, a knife was placed in his non-dominant hand in what prosecutors allege was an attempt to frame the killing as self-defense. On day 5 of trial, a detective walked jurors through crime scene evidence and the contents of Grist's online search history. The testimony painted a picture of a woman who had been researching how other mothers had arranged murders. Defense attorneys have pushed back. They told the jury in opening statements that this was a messy situation. Their argument is that Kevin Ellis made the decision to pull the trigger and that Grist bears no legal responsibility for what her son did. The trial is ongoing. Catherine Restelli is expected to take the stand. The prosecution has not yet rested. Matthew Restelli's mother has already testified. Court TV is covering this trial live. And on to our case updates. Update 1. Sean Combs, Shotgun Scenes. Federal Appeal. Sean Combs spent last Thursday in a federal appellate courtroom in New York, listening as his lawyers argued for a reduction in his 50-month prison sentence. A 3-judge panel of the Second Circuit Court of Appeals heard the arguments. The panel appeared skeptical. Combs was convicted on 3 counts related to prostitution and sex trafficking. He was acquitted of the most serious racketeering charges. His legal team argued that the trial judge punished him as if he had been found guilty of those more serious charges. Defense attorney Alexandra Shapiro told the court that the jury returned a unanimous not guilty verdict on the most serious counts. The judges challenged those arguments at several points during the hearing. No ruling was issued. The panel is expected to decide in the coming weeks. Update 2. Harvey Weinstein, third rape trial. Jury selection is now in its second day in Harvey Weinstein's third rape trial in New York City. More than 80 prospective jurors asked to be excused on day 1. Not a single juror was selected. Today, individual questioning of prospective jurors began. Each potential juror is being interviewed privately about their knowledge of the case. This trial involves a single charge. Weinstein is accused of raping hairstylist Jessica Mann in a Manhattan hotel in 2013. A previous jury convicted Weinstein on separate charges but deadlocked on the Mann rape count. This trial will focus solely on that allegation. The retrial is expected to run up to 6 weeks. Update 3. Tanner Horner, Athena Strand sentencing. In Tarrant County, Texas, the sentencing trial for Tanner Horner is in its second week. Horner pleaded guilty to the November 2022 murder of 7-year-old Athena Strand in Wise County. He confessed to kidnapping her after accidentally striking her with his delivery truck. Jurors are now deciding whether Horner receives the death penalty or life in prison without the possibility of parole. Day 6 of testimony on April 14th included jailhouse phone calls, letters Horner wrote to the Strand family, DNA evidence from a sexual assault kit, and testimony from 2 women who say Horner sexually assaulted them when they were minors. The state is working to establish that Horner is a continuing danger to society. A verdict could come by the end of this week. We will have it for you the moment it arrives. In our deep dive, we are headed to Florida, no pun intended. Florida has more than 21,000 unsolved homicides on the books, cases stretching back 60 years, victims with no justice, families without answers. This week, Florida Attorney General James Othram announced a plan to change that. His office has entered a $600,000 partnership with Othram, a Texas-based forensic DNA laboratory. Othram uses a technology called forensic-grade genome sequencing. It analyzes significantly more genetic data than the standard law enforcement DNA system. That standard system is called the Combined DNA Index System, or CODIS. It analyzes a limited number of specific genetic markers. If a suspect has no entry in CODIS, the search stops there. Othram's approach is different. The lab builds a full genome-level profile from crime scene samples and then compares that profile against publicly available consumer DNA databases, platforms where millions of people have voluntarily uploaded their genetic data. When investigators cannot find the exact suspect, they look for relatives. A partial match to a distant cousin can still point investigators toward the right family. From there, traditional genealogy work can narrow the search to a specific person. This method is called forensic genetic genealogy. It is the same technique that helped solve the Golden State Killer case. It has since helped crack more than 600 cold cases across the United States. Florida's initiative will begin with 3 multi-circuit investigations, a case tied to Broward and Miami-Dade counties from the 1970s, a double homicide in Miami Gardens from the late 2000s, and an early 1980s killing in Central Florida. Beyond the murder cases, nearly 900 cases in Florida involve unidentified remains, people who died without anyone knowing who they were. Attorney General Othram said the goal is to use every available tool to give answers to families who have been waiting for decades. Florida's partnership with Othram is the most ambitious state-level deployment of forensic genetic genealogy in American history. And if it works the way it has in other states, families across Florida may finally get the answers they have been waiting for.
Before we go, here is what to watch in the coming days. On Sunday, April 27th, Guy Rivera will be sentenced in New York for the aggravated manslaughter conviction in the 2024 shooting death of New York City Police Department Detective Jonathan Diller. On Monday, April 28th, the murder trial of former American Idol contestant Caleb Flynn is scheduled to begin in Tip City, Ohio. Flynn is accused of shooting his wife and staging the scene as a burglary. And on May 8th, Brendan Banfield is due to be sentenced in Fairfax County, Virginia, on 2 counts of aggravated murder for a staged home invasion that killed his wife and an innocent stranger. That's your True Crime Today. I'm Morgan Voss. Stay informed, stay safe.